Ladies and gentlemen, silence is strength, not surrender. Most people confuse noise with power. They think the loudest voice in the room must be the strongest, but real power doesn't raise its voice. Real strength doesn't need to shout. When you know who you are, when you've done the work, when your path is rooted in truth, you don't have to explain, prove, or defend. You just walk it. Silence isn't absence. It's presence under control. It's choosing not to react when reaction is expected. It's restraint in the face of provocation. And that, right there, takes more strength than most people will ever know. Anybody can throw words around. Anybody can clap back, argue, defend, or get loud. That's easy. But to sit in your truth, to let someone misunderstand you and still not react, that's mastery. That's discipline. That's when you know you've stopped living for other people's approval and started walking your own lane. They'll say you're cold, they'll say you're arrogant, they'll say you don't care, but what they're really saying is, I can't control you. Because silence breaks patterns, silence disrupts chaos, silence forces people to face their own reflection. We've been taught since we were young to speak up, to argue our case, to always give our side. But life isn't a courtroom, and you don't need to be your own lawyer every time someone doesn't get you. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is nothing. Say nothing, prove nothing, be still, because not everything deserves your energy. Not every battle is meant to be fought. You're not obligated to explain your vision to people who never saw it. You're not responsible for making someone comfortable with who you're becoming. People will test you. They'll poke at you, try to bait you into reacting just to say, "See, I told you." But when you stay silent, you don't give them that moment. You don't let them write your story. You take your power back, you protect your peace, and you make it clear this energy is not free. This focus is not for rent. Silence becomes your boundary. It becomes your filter. It separates the people who are really paying attention from those who just want a performance. In a world addicted to attention, the quiet one always stands out. Because silence isn't a void, it's a message. It says, I don't owe you anything. It says, I'm choosing my dignity over your drama. It says, you can think what you want. I'm not here to correct you. I'm here to continue. Silence is the moment where your power gathers, where your wisdom breathes, where your character sharpens itself in the fire of restraint. People might not understand it. They may misread it as fear or submission, but let them. That's their misunderstanding to carry, not yours. You were never meant to spend your life defending your every move. You were meant to rise, and rising doesn't require permission. It requires silence, strategy, and self-control. Your identity needs no explanation. Who you are is not a negotiation. It's not a pitch. It's not a marketing plan. It's not a press release. You were not born to convince the world of your worth. You were born to live it, embody it, and walk in it without waiting for applause. The moment you start explaining yourself just to make people comfortable is the moment you start losing pieces of yourself. And the truth is, some people don't want to understand you, they just want you to shrink, to adjust, to fit a version of you that they can handle. But you were not built to be handled. You were built to be whole, and your wholeness doesn't require approval. People will question your choices, your silence, your progress, your scars, your boldness. Let them. That questioning says more about their fears than your truth. You don't owe anyone a story that makes them feel okay about what they can't control. You don't owe comfort to those who feel threatened by your evolution. You don't owe softness when you've earned your edge. Your identity is not a debate. It's a fact, and facts don't flinch under opinions. Sometimes you'll walk into rooms where your presence alone will disturb the atmosphere. Not because of anything you've said, but because of everything you carry. Your strength, your clarity, your boundaries, they speak before you do. And some people, they won't like that. Not because you've done them wrong, but because your existence challenges their limits. When people can't place you, they'll try to reduce you. When they can't understand you, they'll try to name you. And when you don't respond to those names, they'll call you difficult, cold, distant. Let them. Because you are not here to perform. You don't have to keep explaining your heart, your grind, your silence, your boundaries, your dreams, your past. Those things are sacred. They were forged in moments no one else saw. In nights you didn't sleep. In tears you didn't post. in prayers that were never heard by anyone but God. That is where your identity was carved, and that identity doesn't need to be packaged for public understanding. It just needs to be lived authentically, unapologetically, fearlessly. You weren't made to be a copy or a version or a watered-down idea of what someone else prefers. You were made to be you in full. So when people ask, why are you like this? Why do you move like that? Why don't you explain yourself? Let your life answer. Let your peace answer. Let your discipline answer. Because when you start to realize your value, you stop offering it up for free. You stop explaining your standards. You stop justifying your growth. You stop apologizing for no longer fitting the small spaces you outgrew. And you start walking like the identity you've been carrying all along, not loud, not defensive, just certain. Certain in your truth, certain in your value, certain that your identity is not something you explain. It's something you live. Don't shrink to fit the opinions of the insecure. There will always be people who feel uncomfortable when you start standing taller. When your light begins to shine a little brighter, the ones hiding in the shadows will squint and call it too much. But their discomfort is not your problem. You were not created to stay small so others can feel big. You were not born to dim your fire so others don't feel the heat. Some people only clap for you as long as you're below them. The second you rise, their applause goes silent. Let it. Insecurity in others will always try to make your confidence seem like arrogance. It will call your focus selfish. It will label your peace as indifference. But that's projection, not perception. People who haven't dealt with their own fears will try to make you feel guilty for not having the same ones. They'll say you've changed, as if you're supposed to stay the same just to keep them comfortable. You're not growing to hurt them, you're growing to honor yourself. And anyone who truly supports you will never require you to shrink. You can't evolve and please everyone. That's a decision you have to make. Because the moment you start rising, opinions will multiply. People will question your intentions, your worth, your pace, your silence, your boldness. Some will call it ambition. Others will call it pride. Some will admire you. Others will envy you. But none of it should move you. You didn't begin this journey to be liked, you began it to become. And becoming requires shedding, stretching, elevating. It requires stepping into spaces others are afraid to enter. That will always attract critics. Always. The insecure will try to cage you with their comfort zones. They'll say things like, you're too much. Or don't forget where truth outlasts noise. In a world built on speed, opinions move fast. Rumors travel faster than facts. Lies echo louder than honesty. But when the noise fades, the truth remains. Noise is temporary. It's emotional. It's reactive. It thrives on attention and dies without it. But truth is different. Truth doesn't panic. It doesn't need to defend itself. It doesn't rush to be believed. It simply waits. Because time always exposes what noise tries to hide. People will say things about you. They'll twist your silence, misread your steps, assign intentions to your actions, and at first it might seem like their version is winning, like the lies are louder than your life. But understand this, the volume of a lie doesn't make it true. Just because the crowd claps for the wrong story doesn't mean that story gets to be the ending. It's just noise, and noise fades, always. The truth is unshakable. It doesn't bend under pressure. It doesn't need to shout to be heard. It sits in the background, steady, calm, waiting for everything false to fall apart on its own. And it always does, because lies require maintenance. They need constant energy to stay alive. But truth sustains itself. You don't have to chase every accusation. You don't have to defend every moment. The ones who matter will see it. The rest weren't listening anyway. When you walk in truth, you learn patience. You learn that not every attack deserves a reaction. You learn that peace is louder than chaos, even if it doesn't seem that way in the beginning. You learn that silence isn't losing. It's strategy. Let people talk. Let the noise rise. Let the opinions pile up. Because eventually the truth stands up. And when it does, it doesn't ask permission. It doesn't apologize for wait, it just shows up, undeniable. The problem is, people are afraid of silence. They think if they don't say something, the noise wins, but silence doesn't mean surrender. It means confidence. It means you know what time will reveal. You're not running from the noise, you're rising above it. You know that the truth will have its day, and when it does, it won't need a megaphone. It will speak through your consistency, your growth, your peace, your life, and no lie can compete with that. When everything around you gets loud, remember this: storms are noisy, but they pass. Wind howls, thunder roars, but then the sky's clear, and what's left is the ground that never moved. The truth. You are not here to match their noise. You are here to live in such a way that your truth becomes your defense. Because in the end, all the noise in the world can't bury something that was real from the start. Let them talk. Let them spin their stories. Let the crowd cheer, but just keep walking. Just keep building. Just keep standing, because true, real, grounded, tested truth doesn't break. It doesn't vanish. It outlasts every time.